If you'll take your seats, we're about to begin.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Brittany Cook, and to the Seneca County United Veterans Council for raising our flag. Welcome and good afternoon. Whoever was in charge of the weather, they got it right. Thank you, God and Mother Nature. I am proud to be standing before you and privileged to serve as the MC. I'm Stacy, one of the county commissioners. On behalf of the Seneca County Justice Center leadership team, we are so excited that all of you are here for this very historic occasion. You know, for 3 years ago, when the formal documents were signed to make this multi-governmental, multi-million-dollar project a reality, the first of its kind in the state of Ohio, 2015 is when we got things rolling. For the past 21 months, we've watched the hardworking men and women build this structure. Prior to the start of that groundbreaking in 16, going through the planning and design phase. And you're going to hear from all the folks from the different aspects of this project as we go through the program. But I just have to say that as I assembled things for an official record, things for the time capsule that were given to us, to the, over on that table, there's red scrapbooks, are a combination of photos, articles, letters, drawings, various things that document, ever since the signing of those documents and this project, physically start moving forward so we could be standing here on this historic day for this ribbon cutting. The ribbon cutting is a day that is mentioned from when we were doing pre-qualifications with architects and with builders. Everybody talks about, we'll get you too. And this is a day that's been on the docket and looking forward, and once we got the date, and now we're here. Going through all those materials to assemble that record of history that we will place those scrapbooks at the county museum, I came across this note card. And it was one of the very first leadership team meetings, and that involved all of our partners. Everybody that was going to make this project happen, the city, the county, the local community leaders, part of that leadership team. And I don't think that my comments on this card that I'm going to read probably vary far from what others in that room had to say as well, because we were to project what we wanted this project to be. What vision did we have for this Justice Center? And what I have down here is that the project meets the needs of the end users, the public servants, and the citizens. That the building is efficient in terms of programming and cost to operate. The jury's still out on that one, but we think it will be by all means in the measures we've taken. That it's a realistic schedule from the beginning so it stays on schedule. I think we slid it by a couple of months. That was it. So we did that. That the public realizes that without a new tax, they have a new facility. So I think we can say, as Commissioner Kerschner often says, check, 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 check. Those are off the list, and here we stand. So as I talk about that reflection of history that you'll have the chance to look through in those books and see, we thank you for being part of history and being here today. You're going to see the snapshot of 2017 and the time capsule in a little bit. And we'd ask that being part of the history, being here in photographs and physically in presence, but you would also afterwards, if you haven't already, go over to the pages under, there's some pages laying to keep them down from the wind, for the addition part of that scrapbook. Sign your name and your hometown, where you're from, so we know you were here today for this event, and we'd appreciate that. Without further ado, we'll call upon Reverend Aaron Gerlach of Old Trinity Episcopal Church, who is our good friend and neighbor here on Courthouse Square, for the official blessing. Reverend Gerlach.
As we celebrate the completion of the Seneca County Justice Center and dedicate this time capsule, we pause a moment to remember. To remember this square has been a center of justice for 180 years. To remember all judges, lawyers, court workers, and law enforcement officers who have dedicated their lives to serving the law in Seneca County. And we pause to remember all those who have been brought to justice here, their families, and those whose lives have been impacted by their crimes. And now let us ask for the blessing of the God who doesn't play favorites and doesn't take bribes, the God who enacts justice for orphans and widows, the God who loves immigrants, giving them food and clothing, and the God who called Israel to love immigrants because they were immigrants in Egypt, for his blessing. May God bless the virtues of our civil justice system embodied in Lady Justice. Let her blindfold remind us that ideal justice is not swayed by wealth, power, race, or any other status. Let her scales remind us that ideal justice is based on the merits of evidence. And let her sword remind us that ideal justice is swift and final. May God bless those who envision this Seneca County Justice Center, our elected officials, those whose counsel and guidance was sought, and the citizens of our county whose taxes made this Justice Center possible. May God bless those who experienced safe working conditions while constructing this building, and their families who were supported by their labor. May God bless all the judges and officers of the courts that will work here, that through wisdom and integrity, they may discern the truth and impartially administer the law. May God bless all those who will be convicted of crimes on this courthouse square. May God bring them to repentance and amendment of life according to his will. When any are convicted unjustly, may God bring them release from their punishment, forgive us, and teach us to improve our justice. And let the people say, Amen.
At this time, we'd like to recognize, and we're going to do so in groups in the essence of time, but whichever group you're part of, if you would please stand and/or wave if you are already standing. Let's start with our state officials. So anyone who is a member of the state legislature, the state Supreme Court, state office holders, etc., if you would please stand and/or wave at this time. Thank you. Seneca County elected officials, would you do the same? Please stand or wave. County, municipalities, from the city of Tiffin, city of Fostoria, townships, villages, any elected officials across the county. Please stand and wave and be recognized. Thank you. Visiting county commissioners or visiting elected municipality from other cities that are present with us. Members of the state associations from which many of us belong, would you please wave and or stand at this time? Thank you. And I don't know how many there potentially are, but anyone who worked on this project, either you pushed the paperwork through, or you were pouring the concrete, or you were laying the bricks, or you were running the wires, or any part of this project, if you worked on this building, would you please stand and/or wave? Thank you. At this time, we've received a couple of special things, so they're not noted on your program, but we're going to have them. I'd like to have Lou Cook, representative of Governor John Kasich's office, please come forward with a proclamation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. What a great day. I've watched this project come along and been here for several of the special moments. I think the first piece of iron with the Christmas tree on it was kind of special, so I will have a proclamation here from the governor. In the name and by the authority of the state of Ohio, John R. Kasich and Mary Taylor, Governor and Lieutenant Governor of Ohio, do hereby officially recognize the grand opening and ribbon cutting of the Seneca County Joint Justice Center. On behalf of the state of Ohio, we are proud to recognize the grand opening and ribbon cutting of the Seneca County Joint Justice Center. This occasion is a constant reminder of all the hard work and dedication that has resulted in the completion of this multi-million-dollar project. We look forward to the positive impact the Seneca County Joint Justice Center will have in the local community, and we extend our best wishes for continued success on the 17th day of May, 2018. John R. Kasich, Governor, Mary Taylor, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you.
And we as well had a second commendation received from John Husted, Secretary of State's office, brought to our office yesterday, and both these documents will become part of the official project record. At this time, I'd like to call upon our Ohio State House representative for the 88th District, none other than our very own William Reineke, who is also serving as the Assistant Majority Whip at this time in State Legislature.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the honor of having me speak this afternoon. This is indeed an honor to stand in this square where others have stood before us over history. The history of Tiffin and Seneca County is important to us and to all of the state of Ohio. Great things have happened here to steer the future of our governmental institutions, and today is no different. Our institutions are bigger than any of us individually, and they are the collaborative voice of a representative democracy. We stand here today with respect for a government by the people and for the people, and one that will hopefully continue for a very long time. This facility is significant as we are bringing all of our local government officials together to better serve the common good of our community. And it is a unique relationship for the county and the city governments to come together to work for its citizenry and to be cognizant of the taxpayer money. We congratulate our county and our city elected officials for making the tough decisions to move our community into the future. And this is undoubtedly a fine example of local cooperation that will be replicated throughout the state and throughout the country. While the wounds of the past may never go entirely away, this building represents a people trying to make a future out of those wounds of the past. And this building is a culmination of the agony of what was, but represents the optimism of what will be. Seneca County has been uniquely creative with what is happening within its county lines. You look at the downtown fulfillment, you look at every block around this building and beyond and throughout the county, and you see activity generating and churning the old into new, and this spot is no different. Time marches on. I congratulate all of those who helped make this day possible. I urge all of us to continue to work together to continue to make great things happen in Seneca County. So thank you very much. This time I have the opportunity and the good fortune to represent our next speaker. Justice Judy French is visiting us. She was here when we broke ground, and I think before we forget to say anything, Judge Repp and she went to Ohio State together. So that is our connection. So she has had a history of public service, and during her time in the Attorney General's office, Judge French argued 2 cases before the United States Supreme Court. Her successful presentation of the state's position helped ensure equitable educational opportunities for every Ohio student. While a judge on the Court of Appeals for 8 years, she authored more than 800 legal opinions. And she became the 155th Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court on January 1, 2013. Justice French also has the benefit of experience in the corporate and private practice area. And as a justice, she speaks frequently to students from around Ohio, particularly those studying the Ohio judicial system. She is from Sebring, Ohio, a city in Mahoning County, and we are so very happy to have her here today. So please help me welcome Justice Judy French.
Good afternoon, elected officials, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I know a few of you are disappointed right now. You heard that Judge Judy was going to be dedicating the courthouse, and you got me instead. But having been here 2 years ago at the groundbreaking, I can tell you that, and then not having watched the progress since then, I can tell you that for me, it was a really dramatic and striking moment when I came around the corner and saw this beautiful courthouse. To all of the public and private organizations that were involved in making this possible, congratulations. It's a home worthy of the name Justice Center. I particularly like the Lady Justice sitting on top. That is no meek or mild Lady Justice. That is a muscled, strong, don't mess with me kind of Lady Justice. I like it. I'd be remiss if I failed to mention the equally powerful individuals, the judges that make up your judicial system. You are very well represented by Judge Kelbley, Judge Shuff, Judge Repp, and Judge Meyer. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the work that you do. And thank you on behalf of all of Seneca County. Typically, when I travel around Ohio, and I do that quite a bit, I usually am visiting old courthouses. Now, for me, a trip to an old courthouse is really a visit to history. When I touch those old banisters and I walk across those worn floor tiles, I'm wondering about the people that touched those same banisters and walked across those same floor tiles. But with a little more reflection, I realize that for many people, the doors of those old courthouses were not open. At least they were only open in a limited way. For women, for minorities, for people with disabilities, if they showed up to the courthouse, they were given limited access with a limited amount of limited rights and privileges. So suddenly my images of those old courthouses are really more romantic than realistic. But when I look at your courthouse, I don't see those injustices. I see a justice center who is open to all people. A justice center where women and minorities will walk through those doors and be able to serve on juries. The doors where a lawyer in a wheelchair will be able to enter without physical disabilities. So I'm not suggesting that our current law is perfect. It's not. I'm not suggesting that our society is perfect. It's not. The metal detectors inside the door are evidence of that. But to me, what this Justice Center says about this community is that you are committed to the future of justice, a future that will expand and grow and build on what we have now. I have no doubt that 100 years from now, visiting Ohioans will marvel at the photographs from today's event. Our clothing will seem quaint. Our gas-powered vehicles will seem ancient. And I'm pretty sure there's a kid who hasn't even been born yet who will look at these photos and say, wow, Supreme Court justices were really short back then. But for generations to come, lawyers, judges, litigants, and citizens of this county will thank you for your thoughtful design and your thoughtful construction. Thank you for your commitment to the future, to the future of justice. You've achieved something really special here, and I feel very honored to be here to celebrate with you. Congratulations and thank you.
Now we'll move on to the judicial remarks from our local judges, and first I'd like to call upon Common Pleas 1 Court Judge Michael Kelbley.
did the wind pick up when I got up? Wow, I come after Supreme Court Justice French. The justice is a tough act to follow. But you had to like her comments about the judges here in Seneca County. You really did. I call my remarks today a present for the future. I probably could have bought better paper. This is the end of a long journey that began years ago. It seems like only yesterday we had the groundbreaking, and now here we are. Every ribbon cutting reminds me of opening presents. As children, we would rip through the ribbon and the bows and the paper to get to the good stuff. Well, this is not a present of Thomas the Train or an American Girl doll, and my thanks to my wife for that part. It is a real live Justice Center. This is the good stuff. In a sense, it is a present from all the people of Seneca County. Tiffin, Fostoria, New Regal, Berwick. Do you know how hard it is to use Berwick in a speech? Attica, Bettsville, Old Fort, Republic, Flat Rock. I'm getting there. It's a tough crowd. Springville, Amsden, Carruthers and Caroline, Green Springs, Fireside, Reedtown, Omar, Siam, Bloomville, Melmore, Watson, Bascom, Maple Grove, Alveda, and all points in between for the future of Seneca County. This present, this Justice Center, is for all of those who for all of those who will come through these doors for years to come. As beautiful and as modern as it is, the real gift is the justice that takes place inside. Everyone who comes in should feel that they got a fair shake. I would like to share with you that yesterday my court was opened by a veteran who saw duty in Vietnam. It was an honor to have Mr. Patterson serve as bailiff to call court to order. And as I do at these occasions, especially around Memorial Day, I need to mention two names from New Regal, James Gase and Lawrence Tice, who gave their lives in service for our country. It was important to me that I recognize and remember all the men and women of this county and country who served and those now serving to preserve our freedom. So to all military men and women, I say thank you. If there was a coin made for today, the front would say freedom and the back would say justice. I believe one supports the other. Today it is my fervent hope that freedom and justice will always be found in the Seneca County Justice Center, a present for the future. Thank you.
Up next, Common Pleas 2, Court Judge Steve Shuff.
The wind picked up again.
Sorry.
Well, I must echo the remarks of my esteemed colleague, Judge Kelbley. Wow. I know that's not a legal term, but wow. Very special welcome to all those who have joined us for this exciting event. It's great to see so many people who were an important part of this endeavor be here today. We come here together today as we have over the last several years in a true spirit of friendship, respect, and cooperation. In this moment, I'm reminded of a saying by Ralph Ellison that I like to always quote sometimes. The end is in the beginning and lies far ahead. That quote reminds me of the long journey we have had for proper and adequate housing for all the Seneca County courts, which would recognize and inspire respect for the law. That journey was long. Over 31 years since the Second Common Pleas Court judgeship was created. It's had its roadblocks, like any journey. It's had its speed bumps, like we see recently. It has its potholes, which we have seen around town. But in the end, the fine cooperation of all concerned carried us through this journey. We should all be proud of the collaborative effort of city officials, county officials, judges, as well as many other interested citizens of the community. These courtroom facilities are outstanding, and they'll last for many future generations to come. What has been accomplished and what we celebrate today is truly historic. We are unique in Ohio of having all the courts located together. However, today we should also celebrate the rule of law. We have seen in past history that buildings of steel and concrete are not forever, but our beliefs remain ever permanent. The same beliefs that led our founding fathers to adopt the rule of law as the cornerstone of our nation. The justice system draws its strength from constant principles, and everyone is subject to and protected by the same rules. In this building, our judicial system will work hard to ensure that all citizens have equal opportunity to justice, just like the last 4 words of our Pledge of Allegiance reminds us, and justice for all. But today we should not only celebrate the present, but take a moment to reflect on the future. Our future duty is to not only maintain and keep repaired this magnificent building, but also work together to enhance respect, trust, and understanding of the law and the rule of law. And you know, yes, you must know that Lady Justice will be watching all of us. Thank you.
And up next, Tiffin, Fostoria Municipal Court Judge, Mark Repp.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to make my comments brief, and I'm going to mimic some of the words that I said when we did the groundbreaking, that for me, this occasion makes me proud. There haven't always been times when I've been proud of the things that have gone on in Tiffin and Seneca County, but I can actually say now I'm probably the proudest that I've ever been. The proudest that our elected officials have worked together to get to this point, that we have an edifice that is not only functional, but secure, and will be able to serve all of our community for the foreseeable future. It makes me proud that we've all been able to work together to take our egos and private agendas and set them aside and to do something that's truly profound, innovative, and worthwhile. I believe that it's truly appropriate for our community. I want to thank you, everyone, for coming here today. Those are my comments.
Now my fellow County Commissioner Mike Kerschner for a county response. Commissioner Kerschner.
Thank you, Holly. As I pondered the building process and the planning process, I thought of a number of words. Imagination, inspiration, collaboration, implementation, exasperation, modification, and finalization. We are at the finalization point as we stand here. The one quote that I wanted to deliver was that of Harry Truman, and I think it's very apropos in this collaborative effort. And he said, "It is amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit." In this situation, the credit belongs to many, and we're happy to have them with us. Imagine, if you will, and this is because of Mark's comments. Mark, thank you very much for telling me this. A little over 200 years ago, this was a dense forest we are now at. When we talk about imagination, our forefathers somehow saw this land that was near a river and had no buildings and planned for it to be the future site of the city center, whatever city that might be. They designated this property as the site of the town center and eventually as the place for a county courthouse. We should all be inspired by those who came before us, those on whose shoulders we stand today, those who sacrificed, planned, toiled, and bring us to this day in history. As with those in the past, we should be inspired by those who work so hard today to make today become a reality. From the initial drawings of a new Justice Center, to actually putting out the bids for the job, to architectural drawings, to choosing construction manager, to putting together a leadership team that included all the major stakeholders. There have been and continue to be untold hours of work in putting this all together. To all involved, a huge thank you. From the auditor's office to the city finance office, handling and managing the financing of this property. To Joe Robertson and Carl Kalnow for helping us with the bonding. By the way, the timing on that was pretty doggone good. We didn't hit the bottom of the rates, but it was very close. To John Larson, who was the bond counsel, thank you. To Derek Devine and to Brent Howard for taking care of the legal work for the county and the city. To the county administration handling concerns along the way and making sure the bills got paid. To our county maintenance department for being diligent in checking on the property as the construction went on. To the sheriff for his input regarding security. And to all of you who were somehow involved. We talk about cooperation and collaboration as if it were a given. However, it took a lot of discussion and a lot of compromise to get to the point we are at today. The three common police court judges, Kelbley, Shuff, and Meyer, along with Municipal Judge Repp, all agreed on major issues and kept the process moving forward. The Tiffin City Council, with the guidance and the wisdom of Mayor Montz, agreed to be part of this project and kept the process moving forward. The county commissioners were able to bid out a 4-story building as a result of this collaboration, and we were proud to keep the process moving forward. This building is not only multi-jurisdictional, it is multi-generational. As we were interviewing preschoolers for the time capsule, it occurred to me that when this capsule is opened 50 years from now, these kids could very well have grandkids their age. It's even possible that one or more of them will be working in this building, maybe even as a judge. The project is now a reality, and we happen to be the stewards who are in a position to be part of this ceremony. I am very proud and very grateful for what's been accomplished here, and hope that we can all keep moving forward. Thank you.
And for the city response, none other than the Tiffin City Mayor, Aaron Montz.
Well, the breeze has stopped now. And now it's getting hot, so I'm going to throw out the first half hour of what I was going to say and keep things rather short today. But seriously, thank you to everyone who is involved in this project. And by everyone, we really do mean everyone. The judges, Shuff, Kelbley, Repp, and Meyer. Our commissioners, Kerschner, Thomas, and Stacy. And we cannot forget you, Fred Zoller, wherever you may be out there. We thank you also, Fred, because without your leadership early on in this project, this courthouse may have never happened. Our city council members at Tiffin City Hall, a thank you to each and every one of you, especially Leopard Fote and Lori Ritzler, who saw this project through from the infancy. And also my deep gratitude to John Huss, who it was his original design work that shaped the conversation around the future look of this building that we have here today. I also want to thank the state and other community leaders who are here, Bill Reineke, Luann Cook, and also it's nice to see we have Lydia Mihalik, the mayor of Findlay, Ohio, here with us, as well as Scott Miller, the commissioner of Sandusky County, with us as well. It really says a lot about your communities that you took time out of your very busy day to come here and join us in Tiffin, Ohio today. The building behind me is something that we can all be proud of. We really can, and for many different reasons. We have a center of justice now in Tiffin and in Seneca County. It is the first of its kind in the state of Ohio. No other community in this state can boast every single court under one roof and one facility. When I traverse the state, I hear conversations about, well, you're from Tiffin. That's that rural community with the 2 universities. Well, you know what? We've got it going on here in Tiffin and in Seneca County. In fact, I'd like to say we're leading the way when it comes to working together, when it comes to the courts doing their business. Just a few years ago, Tiffin and Fostoria merged their courts together. A few years later, all of us agreed to build this joint facility, which, may I point out, has an estimated savings of $181,000 per year by building this facility together. And working with our judges, State Representative Reineke, now there's a new drug court program here in Tiffin and Seneca County. The Pivot program is underway and leading this state at getting individuals with drug problems back on their feet, back to work, and being back to productive members of society. Tiffin and Seneca County is leading the way. We are not some small rural community. Not only does this building save us money, but it gives us something to be proud of. This is a truly momentous occasion. You are all witnessing history. It's been more than 130 years. How many generations of people is that since we saw a courthouse constructed in our county? It's a very special day that helps cap off the rebirth and the renaissance of Tiffin, Ohio, and Seneca County. We must continue to be progressive. We must continue to think outside the box and be transformational. And most of all, we must continue to work together and to get along here locally. I leave you with the words that I wrote in the last article today, or last paragraph of the article in the Advertiser Tribune today. The future of Tiffin and Seneca County is bright. While we cannot bring back the 1884 courthouse, we can celebrate the accomplishments of today. Now more than ever, we must be forward-thinking and strive to build a better Tiffin and Seneca County. The Justice Center is one of the many pieces of the community puzzle put in place to ensure momentum and pride continue to grow locally. We ought not to look back unless it is to derive useful lessons from past errors and for the purpose of profiting by dear-bought experience. George Washington. Thank you.
And now we're going to hear from our project partners and with some recognition and response from them. And first, I'd like to call upon Tom Potts, President, Silling Architects and Planners. And certainly, Tom I think he knows everybody that works in this building. They all know him. He certainly has made Tiffin, Seneca County his second home for a period of time, and we're grateful to have this beautiful building thanks to his vision. Tom?
Thank you, Holly, and good afternoon, everyone. I'll be very brief. I know a lot of people have spoken and said a lot of the same things. I have a letter here to the Commission that really speaks to what we feel from the firm and kind of encapsulates the project's very brief. On behalf of my colleagues, Silling Architects, it is with great pleasure that we say congratulations to the citizens of Tiffin and of Seneca County and the opening of the Seneca County Justice Center. It is clearly a significant facility in both its symbolism and its function that will serve the community for decades. We have been delighted and humbled to serve on such an enjoyable and important project. We'd like to thank the City of Tiffin, the Seneca County Commission, all of the judges, and for creating such a collaborative environment for fostering the spirit of cooperation. And that's been mentioned by probably everybody that was involved in the project that's come up here to speak, and it is true, it really has rung true. The spirit of cooperation. I appreciate everybody here that was able to foster that kind of environment. I especially want to extend a thank you to the county administrator, Stacy Wilson, with whom we've worked with on a continual and sometimes daily basis to resolve critical project issues. Her positive attitude and her humor were at times a breath of fresh air as we worked through the details in occasional uncertain conditions, maybe more than an occasional uncertain condition. I promised you a bottle of wine. I don't have it with me, but we'll certainly bring it. Absolutely, absolutely. I also would like to thank John Logston standing beside her for his technical support and assistance throughout the project, and John, your positive attitude as we work forward. Thank you very much. Yes. Again, it has been our pleasure at Silling to serve on a project with such a positive leadership on such a meaningful building in such a tremendous community that will serve its residents for generations. Congratulations and best wishes. I also see John here, and the mayor mentioned John, and really John came to me early, or you guys had a sketch early that was the germ of the idea. And I know John was here. I would walk the site, and John would be across the street taking pictures, and we'd talk about the project, and we watched it grow together. And John, I just want to say a special thanks to you for your help throughout the project. Finally, I want to say congratulations or thank you to Gilbane Building Company, Chad Stevers, Greg Zellner, and Lane Brubaker that we worked with, and all of your subcontractors. I found you, and we found you incredibly responsive, and great to work with, and helped engender that spirit of cooperation. It was prevalent for the entire team, and so again, congratulations to the community. It's been our joy to work on this project. And I would say, if I were egotistical, I would say, what do you think?
And up next from Gilbane Building Company, Chad Stevers. And Chad, I don't know if anybody's coming up with you, but for the response from our contractor.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for attending this exciting day for Seneca County and the city of Tiffin. On behalf of Gilbane, I want to say how honored we were to be a part of this historic project. I want to start by thanking the co-owners, and we had several co-owners and end users on this project, county commissioners and the county administrators, the city council and administrators, Mr. Mayor, and of course the judges. And despite that being a large team with their own individual interests and goals, they all work together collaboratively, as many people have said, for an end goal. And I think you can see that when you walk through today. I also want to thank the architect, Tom Potts and his team, for their cooperation. They delivered a timeless design, and Tom, appreciate your commitment to that design even when budgets were challenged. I also want to thank the downtown community, businesses, universities that were impacted. You know, we have a construction project downtown. Appreciate your cooperation and allowing us to get our work done. Appreciate your understanding. Obviously want to thank our contractors as well. We had many local contractors, suppliers, who many of which had local employees that had the opportunity to work on this building. And I think you can see that pride as you walk through today as well. For me personally, this project was special because I spent a lot of years in Tiffin, living here, started my family here. Obviously very aware of the history of this site and significance of this project. It was very rewarding for me to come full circle in my career and get to come back and work on this project. Lastly, I want to thank, kind of echo Tom's comments, our day-to-day contacts throughout the project were John Logsdon and Stacy Wilson. Sometimes more than daily, multiple times per day, they were our contacts. Really appreciate their help. I don't think we ever would have got it done without them. And on behalf of Gilbane, thank you very much and enjoy your new building.
At this time, I will call upon fellow Commissioner Shane Thomas for the time capsule dedication.
All right, I get to talk about the time capsule. This is fun. The theme has been time travel to 2067. So the idea is to take a slice of today and transport it into the future, 50 years. The time capsule is designed so that we open it up in 50 years and we reflect on the progress that we've had, the success we've had in the past 50 years. We don't want to tear down another building to get to the time capsule, so this is scheduled to open. I want to thank Holly for her diligence in following through on this project, and she had a committee of people who gathered and plucked items from around the county and contributed them to the time capsule. I appreciate all of your help. The wall safe that's going to be behind the time capsule was donated by a local company, Tiffin Metal Products, so we have that going into the building, and we have a shelf from the 1884 courthouse that was refinished by Hoffert, so we appreciate those donations as well. I bet you wonder what's going to be in the time capsule. So, just a little bit of tidbits of what might find in there. There's going to be letters to future commissioners, future elected officials, some advice for them. There's business cards, menus, some really great videos put together by area schools and the children in the schools. There's a Lenny Klaus koozie if anyone needs one. Does anybody not have one yet? So we'll leave some of the rest of the surprises to future generations, but it should be exciting when they open it. In our archives, we have photos of commissioners when they're doing the trade-off after the election of getting keys to the courthouse. And I thought that was a very interesting tradition, and we're not going to continue that. But what we're going to do is we're going to start a tradition today of passing the key to the time capsule to your successor. So, generously donated by my wife, there's going to be a shadow box that'll have the key to the time capsule, and each of the commissioners and the mayor will have a key. And we think that between 4 elected officials, one of the keys should make it 50 years so we can open the time capsule. Mayor, I did a little calculation. It's like 12 more terms for you. So here to assist me with the unveiling of the time capsule and the presentation of the first key is Museum Director Tonia Hoffert. So, Mayor, you're going to be responsible for keeping one of these in your office.
I would like to say a few things. We all look back at 100 years ago as being history, and today we make history. So I appreciate everybody being here today and helping to make this an eventful day for our time in history. And I would pass the key to Mr. Shane, but he went and sat down. So without any more ado, I'd like to have John come up and help me. And there is your time capsule.
Up next, we've got a student response. And what we learned through the process of deciding what was going to be in this time capsule, which we do have a documented inventory of everything that's in the wall safe already and that's in the bookshelf that you could see. But we learned that there was a young man who was a very young man. He's still a very young man. You can start on up here, Jace, if you'd like, and anybody that's coming with you. That this young man is actually in some pictures from when the 1884 courthouse was torn down. So he started witnessing things about the Seneca County Courthouse at what, the age of 5, I think. So this is Jace Ball, and Jace is the grandson of Larry and Liz Ball. His father is Josh Ball, and he's going to share his written remarks with us.
My name is Jace Ball. I'm 10 years old. I am a student in 4th grade at Noble. My mom is Brandy Dahl, and my dad is Josh Ball. My dad works for Moser Construction. They did the masonry work on the new Justice Center. When the old courthouse was torn down in 2012, I was 5 years old. My grandparents, Larry and Liz, took me to watch the Wrecking Ball on January 9th, 2012. It was something I'll never forget. When they started building the Justice Center, I went and watched. It was especially fun for me because my dad was working on it. I'm happy my dad got to work on such an important building. When they put up the last beam, people got to sign it. I signed my name under my dad's name. When the building was finished, my grandparents took me on the tour. Commissioner Holly Stacy took me to meet Judge Kelbley in his courtroom. I got to sit in his chair and get my picture taken. I thought it was nice of them. I would like to thank Commissioner Stacy for letting me be a part of this. Thank you.
That's our future here in Seneca County, and we couldn't be prouder of that young man. This will be the generation. That's why it's so important with the time capsule that we captured videos of the youngsters who will be the ones wearing the robes, serving in this courthouse or coming here. Up next, we have a special lady on top of the building and a special lady to my right. And this is our County Clerk of Courts, Jean Eckelberry, and she's going to talk about Lady Justice.
Talk about a tough act to follow. Yeah, I think I won. I stand 10 feet tall and I weigh 2,500 pounds. I have been cast in 100% solid bronze. I have the best view in Tiffin. I am the most iconic symbol of our justice system. I stand tall and proud. My home is high above the skyline, sitting on top of the Seneca County Justice Center. I have a blindfold over my eyes. This represents the impartiality and objectivity of our justice system, and that no outside factors such as politics or wealth or fame shall influence any decisions. In my left hand, I have a balanced scales. This represents the impartiality and obligation to weigh the evidence. When taken with the blindfold, the symbolism is that evidence must be weighed on its own merit. In my right hand, I have a sword that faces downwards. The sword represents punishment. My sword is held below the scales to show that evidence and court is always held before punishment. I have a snake at my foot, under my foot. The snake is a general symbol of evil and symbolizes that justice triumphs over injustice, corruption, bias, and intimidation. Of course, I am Lady Justice. Welcome, Lady Justice, to your home on top of the Seneca County Justice Center. Our beautiful Lady Justice, and she is beautiful, was able to come to Seneca County Justice Center due to the efforts of many people. The Common Pleas judges launched the idea of raising private funds to have Lady Justice for the new building.
The judges utilizing special project funds seeded the effort, and with the assistance of the Seneca County Bar Association and the Tiffin Historic Trust, fundraising efforts commenced. Over 100 individuals and businesses and organizations have contributed to bring Lady Justice to the top of the Justice Center. A special thank you to Judge Michael P. Kelbley and Judge Steve C. Shuff. A special thank you also to the Seneca County Bar Association, spearheaded by Ann Lang Devine. A special thank you to the Tiffin Historic Trust, spearheaded by Mark Levins. A special thank you to Representative Bill Reineke, and to everyone who donated to this project. A beautiful plaque of all the donors are now prominently displayed on the inside of the building in the lobby. Please take a few moments before you leave today to go in and see it. It is absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to do the ceremonial ribbon cutting, and I'll do a couple reminders because we will have a final blessing after we cut the ribbon. So don't depart until we get that underway with Father Murd. But we'd also like to ask that if you haven't yet, before you do leave today, check out the plaque, sign the pages over there with your name and your hometown so that we have it documented that you were here. At this point in time, would all members of the leadership team, our elected county, city, state representatives, please come forward. Again, all county and city elected officials, if you're here, we would like you to come up and be part of this historic ribbon cutting. You'll make your way up here. Right across in front of the podium is where they're going to stretch the ribbon for us. And we'll have scissors coming our way, and we'll make this happen. Project partners as well. We certainly want our architect, our builders represented. Come on up. John Huss, I think you need to be up here as well, wherever you are. Go in front of you. Go in front. Go across the front. Mayor, where's the mayor? Mayor, Mom. No, that's okay. Hold them up for the picture.
What?
No, you just open them up for the picture and look that way. Better hold them sideways so they can see.
Let me do it.
All right, everybody get the pictures they want. Everybody say justice on 3. 1, 2, 3. Justice! I won. Steve to cut the ribbon.
Steve Shuff.
These are the ones that will officially cut.
There you go.
This is for the real photo.
Snipper.
All right.
May God bless us all.
If you'll stay where you're at, we'll have Father Murd come forward for our final blessing.
Let us bow our heads and pray for God's blessing. May God send your blessings on all who were instrumental in making this center of justice possible, especially our city and county officials, along with all the citizens of Seneca County. We pray that all who use this building may be true instruments of peace and of justice. May they model Lady Justice, the sword, always willing to fight for peace and justice, for doing what is right, to doing away with evil. The blindfold, never allowing race or creed or social economic background to influence their decisions. The scales keeping a perfect balance between right and wrong, always working for peace and for justice. Bless all who use this building. May they truly be men, women, and children of your love, your peace, and your justice. Amen.
If you will see one of the chamber ambassadors, they have their pretty maroon coats on. They're the color of the ribbon, and they have a commemorative ribbon for you to take for being here today, as well as they have a brochure that was done that gives all the information Jean shared about Lady Justice, and the contributors are on the back. But please sign the pages, step in and see the Lady Justice plaque and the home for the time capsule before you depart as well. Thank you for being here.